Saddest Night Out, episode 489, Wednesday, 17th of September. My birthday was a few weeks ago. Someone on Twitter pointed out that it marked exactly 700 days until the next Glastonbury Festival. There isn't going to be one in 2026. That's a fallow year where they give the field a chance to recover. So 2027 is when the next one is due to happen. And apparently 700 days from my birthday is exactly when it's going to happen. 700 days also rounds up quite neatly to 100 weeks. And tomorrow, Thursday the 18th, would mark the 92nd week until the next Glastonbury, if you want to join me in that countdown. This episode was supposed to mark 100 days until Christmas, but I delayed a little bit, so now it's 98 days away. And also, sorry if that news ruins your day. I should have warned you. It does something to know that Christmas is essentially that close. And I've been meaning to make a video asking, how will this period of time look 100 years from now? So we're in 2025. If you think of 1925, what comes to mind? Probably some black and white pictures, maybe some grimy footage. I think the Oscars didn't start until 1929. So I can only imagine if there was any movies, it was silent movies, black and white and so on. Anything before that time, you're largely looking at paintings or writings, music. There's even less film, video or pictures to come by. Since then, of course, we've had the massive growth in film and broadcasting, etc. There's so much footage from the 1900s after 1925. You can look at most footage from that century and make a good guess about whether it's from the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, etc. There's so much footage that each decade has something of a signature to it when you see it visually. This century, the turning point was that now everyone can record video and everyone can broadcast that video to the whole world. So there's so much more footage out there that can act as a time capsule for this period of time. So whereas the 1925 and beyond, you'd have to fill in the gaps with imagination. Now you can get a pretty explicit picture of exactly what life was like at this time. Or so I think, because whereas the turn of the century brought in technology so everyone can make videos and broadcast videos, so it wouldn't just be from official sources, it would just be everyday people whose video you could see about what this time is like. This particular period is the advent of AI. So now there's a bunch of footage that can be manipulated, footage from now or from the past that can be manipulated, if not just invented out of thin air altogether. And I know we're still at the point where you can largely tell the difference between something organic and something AI manipulated. I don't know how long that will be the case though. So by the time we get to 2125, what will people see of 2025? Will there be so much more footage between now and the 2100s that no one will even bother to see about this year? Look at how much footage that has happened from 1925 to now. Multiply that by goodness knows what to imagine what it might be between now and 2125. Or could something happen that causes us to lose whatever is stored digitally? So we go from having way more footage than anyone can physically look at to nothing, because everything was in the cloud, everything was digital, and all of that gets wiped somehow. And perhaps the happiest question is, will we even make it to 2125, either as a human race, as a species, as a planet, or perhaps a more intriguing question, is there anyone alive now who will still be alive in 2125, whether it's someone who's born now and the average age lifespan goes up beyond 100, or someone who's just very, very rich now and develops the technology to make it so they can stick around to see 2125, 2225, etc. All of this is centered around the number 100, hence the title. And I'm reminded of that scene from Parks and Recreation where someone loses their job and looks a little worse for wear. And someone asks them, "Are you depressed?" And they say, "I'm not depressed. Would a depressed person do this?" And I think they make a stop motion movie, which very much gives the sign that yes, they are in fact depressed. My fixating on the number 100 could kind of give that impression as well. I do not feel very 100 right now. I'd argue that I feel the opposite. Which is another question. What is the opposite of feeling 100? Is it feeling 0 or is it feeling minus 100? 500 is also a nice round number, and I'm still very close to reaching that number of episodes. And 5 is also a nice round number, and that's how many of you reached out to me after the last episode. So thank you very much for that. The last episode was a test both of whether I could still do this and whether anyone is listening. I am trying to remember and embrace that this form of communication, I think, is becoming a bit of an oasis in an increasingly dry desert of an internet where everything has to be monetized. Everything has to be about providing value. So, for starters, podcasts are now video because that's a much more engrossing way to capture attention. Whereas I always lean to podcasts as something to do while I'm doing other stuff. Although I don't really listen to podcasts much at all these days. I'm more about audiobooks. But here I am obsessing around round numbers. I think I'm going to try and leave the round numbers alone because instead of giving me a target to reach, it just gives me an invitation to overthink. Because I think, okay, I have to do this episode on this day because it's 100 days from Christmas. I have to do this episode because it marks 100 weeks from Glastonbury. I just get too in my head, and there are already far too many things vying to make me overthink. So round numbers doesn't need to be added to that list. So this isn't quite as low effort as the test episode I did last time, but I am, for starters, definitely going to keep it to under 10 minutes and just continue to, wake up those muscles that led me to do this 489 times. It would really suck if this thing I'm doing here stopped before I at least reached 500. So let's try and strap ourselves in for at least 10 more episodes of this crazy little thing called Saddest Nights Out. Yeah, that'll do. We're getting close to 10 minutes, which is also a nice round number. And can you see now where the spiraling is happening? So we're going to stop here. Thank you for listening. Don't feel obliged to comment, but if you do, thank you for doing so. I'll catch you on the next episode. Till then, take care.